Okay, chat, I'm here. I'm so sorry about that. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. I hope this is okay. I hope this looks fine. I guess I am missing something. There we go. I got some gentle music playing. How y'all doing today? How's it going? One second. So today we are doing some spooky ASMR reading. I might do something else depending on what time we're looking at. So it might be like a mixture of ASMR with a mixture of with a mixture of like gotcha stuff. So yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I use a program whenever I do ASMR. It's called Shoost, and I couldn't like try to like make myself look at least a little pleasing, to say the least. But for some reason my ears are just slightly cropped. I couldn't figure that out. But hi Coda, hi Flash, hi Scraps. I can't read that name currently. I read Wa-na-ide. And I see Ark, I see Sushi, and I see Isa. It's nice to see all of you. I hope y'all are having a great Halloween so far. I got a Philly cheesesteak earlier, so that was pretty tasty. But yeah, so I'm gonna go look for some spooky reading stuff. I meant to do it sooner, but I got a little sidetracked. Let's see here. Let's see here. I realize that I'm probably gonna scare myself reading this shit. Oh, I see. That's just in every encounter with the ghost girl in Pokemon. Okay. So let me see here. One second. This one's from fanfiction.net. I'm trying to like find like a scary story like from like Pokemon or something that like I'm used to, because like I feel like if it's something I'm not used to, I'm gonna have like nightmares, and I don't like having nightmares. It could be decent or horrible. Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. It's the first thing that Google suggested though, so this was updated in 2016. Hi Simon, welcome in. How are you doing? How's it going? It's nice to see you. Okay, let's see here. Fall was in the air, for the trees of the center region had begun to change their leaf colors to brilliant colors of red, orange, and golden. There was a slight chill in the air at the start of a cold time up ahead. There were even some pumpkins being out in the front of the houses of the residents of Sinnoh, for that night would be Halloween. Hi, Boredom! Yo, how's it going? How are you doing? Right now, as soon as sunset had arrived, a group of Pokemon was gathering around a campfire. These were the Pokemon that belonged to teenage Pokemon trainers named Ash, Dawn, and Brock. Where those humans were away at the Halloween party, the Pokemon were able to make a campfire and talk. Since Ash and the others are at a party right now, anyone got ideas for fun? Pikachu, the leader of the group, announced. I got one, ENVtuber called out, raising his hand. How about we color Krogunk the color of a Politoed? Krogunk glared at him. Ha ha. Cyndaquil raised a hand next. Can we dunk Piplup in a pool of Sharpedo? That would be a classic. Hey, Piplup yelled. Then two Pokemon glared at one another before they jumped at each other, disappearing into a cloud of dust. Pikachu sighed at this. It really ticked him off when Cyndaquil and Piplup would argue like this. Giving in, he hurried forward and dragged Piplup away from Cyndaquil, while Buizel dragged Cyndaquil away from Piplup. But when the two Pokemon broke loose and fought again, a loud roar made them quiet. That roar came from Mamoswine, Dawn's biggest Pokemon. Would you two keep it down? He roared irately. Some of us are trying to sleep. Sorry, Mamoswine. Pikachu apologized for the two arguing teammates. We were just talking about what to do for tonight, that's all. What do you think we can do? Mamoswine just grunted. Sleep. Boring! 1 second. I gotta... My heating pad, turned off, so I gotta turn it back on. Okay. Boring, ENVtuber had gotten up and called this out. Like Ash, ENVtuber had a feisty spirit, and he was far from the Chimchar that had been abandoned by Paul, his former trainer. The firefighting ape-like Pokemon had stood up and leaned nonchalantly on one of Mamoswine's tusks. The large twin-tusk Pokemon glared down at him and shook him off, but ENVtuber didn't drop the smile. Then ENVtuber told him, sleeping during Halloween's night sounds so boring. Besides, we got candy for tonight. Candy? Mamoswine's eyes opened wide at the reference to this. Did you say candy? Yes, sir, Sudowoodo, Brock's most cheerful Pokemon, spoke up. Kit Kat or Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Now Mamoswine was fully awakened by this and stood up, pawing the ground. Chocolate? There was silence. And then he said, chocolate! Veneeri bounced over to Pikachu and clung onto him, making him blush as she screamed, just give him something to shut up. Staraptor took command of this at once, for he reached into a bag and fished out a big box of Skittles and tossed them to Mamoswine, but it hit him on the side of the head and made him snort with indignation. However, Staraptor didn't really pay attention, for he kept staying over and over again. You want a Skittles? Do ya? Do ya? That behemoth isn't a dog, Pachirisu reminded him. It's better than nothing, the predator bird Pokemon retorted. Throwing a box of M&Ms at the ice ground type Pokemon, he called out, you want M&Ms? Do ya? Do ya? Pachirisu was about to say something when Pikachu held her back. He explained to her, just let him go. Mamoswine's cured now, he added as he pointed to Mamoswine, who was happily eating the candy tossed to him. For a few moments, there was a silence as Pokemon ate their first round of candy. Since they were spending the night in some spooky-looking woods, this was probably a good place to spend Halloween. Then, a few silent minutes later, there was a rustling sound from the bushes that made the Pokemon look up in terror. But it was only Torterra, the powerhouse on Ash's team, for he lifted himself out of the bushes he was sleeping in. How about we play bobbing for berries? The massive continent Pokemon suggested. Nah, Pikachu yawned. Then an idea hit him. It was a great idea. Pikachu had a horribly great idea. So he announced, how about we tell some scary stories to each other? Whoever tells the best scary story wins. Repulsive, Togekiss, who was the prompt and haughty mother figure of the group, sniffed. Anyone who tells these stories will give children horrid nightmares. Gibble retorted, come on, Togekiss, lighten up. These stories are just folk tales anyway. Togekiss sniffed. Says the dragon child who can't perfect a Dracometer. She said she still hadn't liked Gibble for accidentally using a failed Dracometer on Piplup, its target. Pikachu could see the young Pokemon swell up in anger and scrunch up his face that he had bitten down into a lemon. Then Gibble waddled up to Togekiss, turned around on the spot, and wagged his behind right in front of her. Anger replaced the disgust on Togekiss's face, and she let out a wing, ready to use Air Slash on him. Okay guys, that's enough, Pikachu scolded them, leaping in between them. Turning to the other Pokemon, he asked them, who else agrees with the scary stories? I do, Bunbun said right away, bouncing over to Pikachu and snuggling up against him. The electric rodent felt himself turn red at this, but he didn't say anything else. And ENVtuber raised a hand. Sure thing. Mamoswine didn't say anything, for he had just fallen fast asleep. I suppose a scary story or two won't hurt, Sudowoodo said. What's the prize? Pikachu walked over to the candy bag and, without looking, groped his way through a pile of candy inside. Grabbing hold of a small box, he pulled it out and held it in high in the air to show the other Pokemon. They all gasped with awe as their eyes went as big as they stared at the box with wonder. Noticing their stares, the Pikachu smiled and explained, "Whoever tells the best scary story and the scariest will receive this Wonder Ball. I'm sure everybody is familiar with the Wonder Ball." "Oh man, I love those," Piplup explained, his beak watering. "Dawn says she loved those when she was little. I just love the chocolate on the outside and the candies on the inside." Oh my god, they're talking about Wonder Ball. Chat, y'all remember Wonder Ball? Wait. Hold on. Did you guys get moved again? You guys did get moved again. That's crazy. There you guys go. Okay, sorry about that. What the hell? Okay. Also, welcome in, Doomy. It's nice to see you. I hope you're having a great Thursday. Suddenly, Gibble spoke up. "Wait a minute. Normally, there'd be characters from Disney in on the Wonder Ball. So why are there Pokemon instead?" "I guess that's the way Sinnoh makes them," Pikachu guessed, clearing his throat, and seeing that Mamoswine had opened his eyes to see the Wonder Ball. He raised it in the air and went on. "So whoever comes into second place will get a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup gift basket. And any other Pokemon in third place will get a Kit Kat gift basket." Kroga chuckled. "Give me a break." The other Pokemon laughed at that little joke for a little bit before Pikachu went on, who also laughed. Kroga perhaps had a good story to tell. Pikachu continued. "Finally, those who come in on any other place will, other than the other three I mentioned, will get any piece of candy from the bag here. But you have to keep your eyes closed when you do that. If you get some candy that you don't like, trade it with the Pokemon that didn't come in first, second, or third places. Any questions?" "I have a question. Have any of the baby of the Pokemon, kinda, spoke up? Who'll go first?" No one said anything at first, except for Mamoswine that said, "Who invited the kid?" "Wait a moment," Pikachu told him, turning his head into Happiny. He asked her, "Happiny, are you sure you want to hear scary stories?" Happiny nodded. "I can handle it. My species and our evolutions can handle tough stuff." Then the other Pokemon began to argue about this until Pikachu used Thunderbolt in the air and Iron Tail on a rock to stop them. Those acts made the other Pokemon quit arguing and look back at them. Pikachu called out, "Since Happiny wants to hear some scary stories and tell one of her own, she can stay. So who do y'all want to start with?" "You?" Torterra said. "Me?" The mouse Pokemon squeaked with a shock, not literally. Infernape folded his arms and nodded. "Yeah, what Torterra said. It was your idea to tell some scary stories and let others tell their tales for a prize, so you can have the honors of telling us the first story. But I want to tell the next story." "No, I want to," Piplup shouted out. Then, in a snooty voice, he added, "Besides, Dom keeps me out of my Pokeball all the time." "Just because you're too much of a wimp to get in one," Infernape began. Pikachu stepped into the fight, but intended on stopping the fight, but then he added, "What about me, Infernape? I hate going into any Pokeballs." The firefighting type Pokemon looked embarrassed as he rubbed the back of his head with his hand. "Not you, Pikachu. You're awesome." Pikachu gave him a nod of respect before he turned the grief while Infernape and Piplup sat down. "Anyways, I would be honored to tell you guys the first story of the evening. Who agrees?" Oh boy. Wait, that was the first chapter and they didn't even tell the story? What am I getting myself into? I wonder what's in a Wonder Ball. Chat, did you guys like Wonder Balls? Those were my favorite when I was younger. Pikachu's story is gonna be about Spearows? Oh god, I can imagine that. Okay, let me see here. One moment. Happy Halloween, Cow Bunny! Hi, Sunset! Welcome in! Thank you so much! I hope y'all are all having a happy Halloween. Also, I must know what your favorite candy is. That's also very important. Okay. Hey, thank you so much for the 8 months! I appreciate it! Holy shit. Happy extra happy Halloween. Happy traumatizing kids day. Fuzzy Peaches. I don't think I've ever had that before. Okay, so apparently the first spooky story is the Ralts that stood on a grave. When the Pokemon gathered around the campfire, Pikachu checked to see if they were quiet. Mamoswine was also asleep as usual. Togekiss looked rather grossed out at these scary stories, and Infernape looked really excited. All of the other Pokemon, however, looked a little nervous, but they also really wanted to hear the scary story. I just got done carving an amogus into a pumpkin. Oh, hell yeah. I want to see amogus. Hello, Twitch side popping in here to say hi. Hi, Flash. Hello, hello. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see here. Some Pokemon belonging to beginner trainers in this Hoenn region were at a party. And the way I see it, it must have been taking place around the early or late 80s. Anyways, these younger Pokemon were all discussing how creepy the graveyard nearby was. Don't ever go in there after dark and stand on a grave. Whoever is underneath will pull you in, a male Aron said. Ha! That's a silly superstition, a female Ralts laughed. Aron glared at her and retorted, if it's such a superstition, then how about you go out there right now and stand on a grave? I'll give you a $2 bill if you do. A $2 bill? Kroguk spoke up, his eyes shining greedily. That sounds like my kind of thing. Togekiss rolled her eyes. Keep your selfish thoughts to yourself, selfish child. Quickly, Kroguk got to his feet, growling. You want to bring it, you pompous queen? I'll give you something to call selfish. Oh my gosh, why are these Pokemon always trying to fight each other? Just go back to the story! Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna read the story and not what everybody else is saying on the outside. Oh, as long as you don't read the Typhlosion story. No, I read that like a couple of weeks ago. Okay. Ralt's eager with the thought of even one $2 bill. Agreed. But before she left, he gave her a knife, saying, plunge this into the ground after you stood on a grade. That way we will know you were really there. It's in their nature to fight. She chose a grave quickly and stepped into the soft earth in front of the stone and waited. She stood for one full minute, shaking in fear. Soon, Ralts decided that she had been there long enough. She stabbed the knife deep in the ground and made to leave. But she couldn't, because you know why? It's because something had clung onto the skirt-like thing you see on a Ralts. Something was holding her back. She screamed in terror, convinced that the grave's dweller was trying to pull her into the ground. She writhed and tried to escape, screaming and crying all the while. Then, she finally collapsed to the ground. The next morning, when she hadn't returned, the other Pokemon got concerned and went to the graveyard to find her. They found her at the grave, dead. The knife was in the ground, pinning the skirt-like thing that you see on a Ralts. Without even realizing it, she had plunged the knife into the skirt-like thing and pinning her where she stood, making her think it was someone trying to pull into the grave. She had died of fright. Is that the story? That was the story. Okay, let me see if I can find another story here. It's a creepypasta about Pokemon. Thank you, Wattpad. Is there like a top rated one? Okay, let me see. Lots of Lavender Town. A patch of grass on Route 2? Hi, I'm a boss. Welcome in. How are you doing? How's it going? Okay, give me just a second. Let me put this music on loop. So, in my neighborhood, we don't have a lot of kids that come here, so I'm not able to pass out candy, sadly, but I will be getting candy tomorrow when it goes on clearance. Wait, this story is based off of real world urban legend tale? Really? I did not know that. Okay, so I'm doing pretty good. I'm just vibing here. I'm not good with creepypasta stuff, but I'm gonna try and read this for you guys. So this next story is called The Patch of Grass on Route 2. This is still this is still Pokemon stuff. So let me see here. The story is called The Patch of Grass on Route 2. I was a huge Pokemon fan, And when the package arrived of 2 used Game Boy Colors that I ordered from the internet arrived, I was hysterical. I could play my own Pokemon games again. The first Game Boys had broken at least 3 years ago, and I had just decided to get new ones. I miss playing Pokemon. I'm going to a haunted house later today. Oh, have fun! 1,300 kids, holy shit, that's crazy. Something tells me your neighborhood has the chocolate bars. Like the big chocolate bars. Okay. I just decided to get new ones. I missed playing Pokemon. I tore open the package and took out the Game Boy Colors, grabbed the batteries I had nearby, put them in, and powered up the systems to see if it even worked. They started up perfectly. I turned it back off, and brought them into my room where I had set them out. Where I had set out my Pokemon games. I had link cables. I looked all over for a few games: Blue, Yellow, Gold, and Crystal. Those were all my favorites. I picked Blue first. I put it in and started it up. The game started normally. I hit continue, and my character appeared on Route 2 near the entrance to Viridian Forest. I opened up my menu and looked at my team: Blastoise, Rhydon, Magneton, Kadabra, Pidgeot, and Haunter. They were all above level 50. What was I doing at Route 2? I shrugged and turned them off. Next, I went to Yellow, my personal favorite out of all of them. It started up normally as expected, and I once again hit continue. I was once again at Route 2. Pikachu was not following me. This didn't surprise me for some reason. I checked my team. I only had 4 Pokemon. A level 100 Sandslash, who was named Lumpy, a level 100 Gengar, a level 100 Jolteon, and a level 100 Glitch Pokemon, who is commonly referred to as XX. X-X. I suddenly remember I had spent days catching glitch Pokemon through the Mew glitch and feeding hundreds of rare candies into my Pokemon on Yellow version to show them off to my friends. I would also merge Pokemon through the glitch that allowed me to change the colors and stats of a Pokemon. I had changed my Jolteon to a green color to make it look like it was shiny, even though there are no shinies in Generation 1. Since none of my Pokemon could use Fly, I decided to walk down Viridian City and see what other Pokemon I had. As I walked through the one area of grass to go to Viridian, I encountered a Pokemon. A level 3 Pidgey appeared, and my green Jolteon being first in the team, I ran away, not wanting to waste time. Back in the overworld, I only took one step downwards, and another battle began. The outline was different as it slid into view. It was a ghost, the one you find on Pokemon Tower when you don't have the Sliff Scope. I was surprised, but not worried. There was probably an explanation for it, being that this game I had done so many glitches and had caught so many glitch Pokemon. Although, as far as I knew, you can't make ghosts appear with glitches in Pokemon Yellow. I ran once again, but this time the shuffling noise that is played when you escape was louder. Once again, I thought nothing of it, deciding that this was a glitch Pokemon and a lot of them had to mess with the audio. As soon as I got to the overworld, I checked my bag. I glitched him out of Master Ball and rare candies, some assorted TMs, and other key items. I even had the Sliff Scope. This only creeped me out slightly. I took another step down, and yet another battle started. It was a ghost again. I ran. This time the running sound was normal, but what really shocked me was that instead of the text saying, "got away safely," it simply said, "got away." Back in the overworld, I had really wished I had a Pokemon with Fly. Another step down, another battle started. This time the ghost didn't even slide across the screen. It was just there as soon as my Pokemon was let out of the ball. I tried to run again. The text said, "Jolteon is too scared to move. Ghost used Roar." This was really strange. The ghosts don't have any moves. They usually just say, "Get out, get out." Jolteon dragged out Gengar. Good, a ghost type versus the ghost. Maybe I can run away. For the life of me, I didn't want to turn this game off. It was so strange. I wanted to see what would happen. I chose to run with my Gengar. Gengar is too scared to move. The battle music changed. It got faster, as if something urgent was happening. Ghost used Roar. Gengar dragged out Lumpy. Lumpy, he was my favorite Pokemon. He was my Sandslash at that, and as soon as I could trade to other games, I'd trade him into the game as I was currently playing so I could keep using him. The only reason why he was in my Yellow game was so I could boost him up to level 100. Instead of running, I decided to throw a Master Ball at the ghost to see if I can catch it. I didn't want to risk the ghost using Roar again and dragging out my X-X, the glitch Pokemon, worried that it would crash the game and ruin the cartridge. I used a Master Ball, and it was flying through the air when the game froze. I waited a few seconds in silence. Maybe I should just shut off the game, and took some time to go around the grass. Waiting a few more seconds, the game not moving, I turned off the power. I started the game back up. I was hoping it would put me back to where I wasn't in the grass so I can get to the Pokemon Center and trade Lumpy to another one of my games. I skipped past the title screen. When the main menu popped up, there was no continue option. Only new game. I had lost Lumpy, my favorite Pokemon. He was always my favorite, and I spent days and weeks training him up to 80 or so, until I started glitching yellow. I'd felt a closer, quote-unquote, bond that the pixelated monster than even my first starter. Now on the verge of tears at the loss of Lumpy, I selected new game, hoping by some slim chance that the game had glitched badly and my save file was really there, along with Lumpy. My heart jumped as my character appeared near the middle of the grass on Route 2, where I had left off before I encountered the ghost who froze the game. I still had the chance to save Lumpy from this horribly glitched game. I opened the menu to check my team. Shockingly, there were no Pokemon listed. I had no Pokemon with me, yet I hadn't blacked out and returned to the Pokemon Center with my Pokemon. I closed the menu. It felt so odd, still walking around the glass without any Pokemon to protect you. Just now, I realized the game had gone silent. I checked the volume on my Game Boy and it was still on full blast. Since there were no trainers on Route 2, my character seemed so out of place, so alone. I walked around, hoping I wouldn't run into any wild Pokemon. I got through the patch and walked down to Viridian. I got down to the area where the old man would lay down and not let you through because he didn't have his coffee. He was laying there. I could not enter Viridian. I tried talking to him. Text appeared. ... I tried again. ... I couldn't get to Viridian now. I thought maybe I could turn back and try to trek through Viridian Forest. I turned around and started walking, but about 2 steps forward it made a sound as if I was walking into a wall. It wouldn't let me go further. I turned back around to the old man. I clicked the A button furiously. The ... text kept appearing again and again. I slammed down my Game Boy. I lost my Pokemon. I lost Lumpy. I'm a new trainer with no Pokemon. Did they leave me? Or were they stolen from me? In one more futile attempt, I attempted to pick up the Game Boy once more. I clicked the A button on the old man one last time. I jumped as the music started up again. It was the battle music. The battle scene appeared, and the game paused. It continued 5 seconds, and surprisingly, a Sandslash sprite came across the screen. Lumpy would like to battle. Go, X. I sent out the glitch Pokemon against my own Sandslash. The options appeared, and of course I checked bag first, in case I had any Pokeballs to reclaim Lumpy. I only had Master Balls, so I chose to use a Master Ball. I was so happy that I was at least able to have Lumpy back into my team. The ball flew in the air and it landed. Lumpy went inside, and to my great surprise, the Sandslash broke out immediately. I had no idea that Master Balls could have been broken out of. When he fully reappeared, his sprite was slightly off. He looked angry. In turn, the text appeared. ... And the battle screen showed back up. I chose a Master Ball once more. He broke out, looking even more enraged. ... Shaken, I turned off the game. I took out Yellow, stacked up my Pokemon games along with the 2 Game Boys and Link Cable, and I put them in the furthest reaches of my closet. Wait, what? That's it? Also, hi MB! Hi Cubic Stonks! And hello Freddy, welcome in! Sorry, I was reading. I super don't have the money for the life-size candy. I feel that. Oh, man. Why did he look more angry? What was gonna happen next? Okay, let me see here. There's a lot of stuff here. What about Lost Silver? Okay. Get comfy real quick. Okay. You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. This one is called Pokemon Lost Silver. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokemon Heart Gold / Soul Silver here in the States. I have purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet outside for school purposes. That means no 4chan, no /V, no Bulbapedia, etc. As I was so busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. I decided during that time I would replay Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. Happy Spooky Day! Happy Spooky Day, Alejandro! I hope you're having a great day! We're just reading some Pokemon scary creepypastas. Excuse me. However, I realized that long ago my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and I was very upset about it then. She also threw away my silver version, so all I had was my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used silver version, and as it's the only cheap Pokemon game left that they have for the Game Boy Color. $10. Fairly cheap. Y'all remember when Pokemon games were $10? Especially the used copies? That's wild. You want something like that now, it's gonna be like 80 bucks. Okay. Let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit. I went home and started up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started to get bizarre. And more likely the reason why you read this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but then it just froze there. I thought the cart was just errored or something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A, start, over and over, and all the buttons. Eventually, the logo vanished and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in a game in a previous save file, which was odd, as I was expecting all of these carts to be wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining, as I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. First off, I checked his trainer information. His name was just ... He didn't have much originality. I checked out his profile, and he had apparently 999 hours, 999 hours put into the game with all 16 badges, maxed out Pokedollars, and all 251 Pokemon on the Pokedex. Seeing as he had apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also, I'm guessing he either used to be a game genie or a really hardcore Pokemon player back then. I checked out his Pokemon to see what badass team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I'm thinking that this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played this game, but I decided to check the profiles on those Pokemon anyway. As expected, all different letters of unknown were all level 5. I was a bit shaky with my unknown alphabet at the time, but I identified the word spelled out to be leave. As for the 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this is before there were individual Pokemon icons. The Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was level 5 with only 1 HP left with only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at that time I just disregarded it. It was the most eerie thing that, despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon had said their usual cries. Just pure silence. Having enough of my team, I closed it. I was parked at what appears to be the room inside the Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason, there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was the pillar in the middle that didn't move at all, as if it was just leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and there was no exit or ladder, or at least I thought there wasn't. I walked around a few more minutes, and I can't seem to find a way out. This was certainly not a room I've seen in the Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I had managed to find a ladder, which turned out to be behind the pillar, quote unquote. The screen turned the screen turned black, and the music finally started playing. I had a sudden chill as I recognized that melody I heard to be the theme when you hear the radio at the Alpha rooms where the unknown are at. I immediately didn't realize that it wasn't a loading transition, but rather I was in a dark room and I would need flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokegear out to change the radio to something more pleasant. But it turns out there was no radio card or even phone nor time cards. There was only a map on the card, a map card in which Gold, ... from earlier, I will call him Gold from now on, was walking in the midst of black. I recall that Cyndaquil has flash, so I turned off my Pokegear. I hate how Pokemon music immediately started playing the second I started reading this now. I hate it. I don't like it. Oh man. 54 days until Christmas. I can't welcome in. This is creepy. Anyway. I recall that Cyndaquil has flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Cyndaquil use flash. I didn't see any message saying Hurry has used flash or anything like that. The room just became lit just like that, and I soon regretted it. The room was a chilling blood red with a linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up and down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south. The green got darker every 20 steps I made, until I finally made it to the end, which appears to be a sign. I read the sign, which said, "Turn back now." Suddenly, I was asked to answer yes or no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes, as I did not know what it was asking, and the screen went black again, making a ladder climb sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds, it was replaced with the not as creepy Poke Flute radio music. I was in another dark room, but I held my breath and used flash again. Suddenly, it said that Hurry had fainted, which was odd since I recall there was no status conditions like poison on him, and I clearly wasn't in battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he's no longer in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokemon were there. All were instead with level 10 unknown. I did the same thing as before and spelled out the unknown. Then my team of unknown spelled, he died. Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room appears to be 4 squares big. The walls were a room that were gray bricks, as if something inside was hollowed out. Outside of that room appears to be a bunch of graves similar to the one in Pokemon Red and Blue. I've walked around that small room and pressed A, but nothing happened. I've already concluded that this was clearly a hacked game, and some sadistic fuck sold it to GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer of ... again, only to find out that the spread of gold was missing his arms. Ooh! He also seemed to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty than the ways I do not know how to describe. For some reason, it also now says that he has 24 badges, which was clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wondering, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying up, though, my character spun downward slowly, as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing, the overworld sprite Gold is colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. Oh god, he died! It's as if he came straight from the Colorless Game Boy games, placed into a colored background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile, and now, while now he is white as his overworld sprite, he lost his legs, and appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says he now has 32 badges, which is now starting to disturb me, as this change of number seems to represent something important. I checked my Pokemon, which this time contains 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebi without a nickname. The unknown this time are leveled 15 and spelt out dying. That I checked out Celebi's profile. It was a shiny Celebi, except there was only one half of the sprite. 1 arm, one leg, 1 eye. It only has 1 attack, Perish Song. The area I was in itself with the Sprout Tower was an immobile pillar as before, except everything is apparently red now. Where was I? Apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually, I finally encountered some generic men, woman, NP. Oh my god, Unstable! You scared the hell out of me! Oh shit. I Unstable. Hi, not so Hypokira. Hi, Scott. I'm getting really into this creepypasta. It's nice to see y'all. It's nice to see y'all. I'm sorry. I forgot to start up the fishing game. Give me just a second. Oh, hell. Where's my fishing game? Scared the tits out of her, I guess. Ah, thank you. Look, to be fair, there was nothing about side boob. There was nothing about side boob, but a Twitch bonks me. Damn, that's gonna be crazy. Okay, there we go. Okay. I continue to read. Thank you for the compliment, Bagheera. I appreciate it. I hope y'all are having a great Halloween. Okay, let's see here. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower with the immobile pillar as before, except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually, I finally encountered some generic men and women NPC. They were all lined up to the side, just facing the long slantish pillar in the middle. They were also white, and nothing happens when I try to speak to them. I kept going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red without even pressing A. I was suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Gold's battle's back sprite matches his front one with the bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms, while Red's sprite was the same as before and GSC except transparent. The text simply said, wants to battle, as if he has no name, and both of us only have 1 Pokemon each, which is weird because I swore I had six with the unknowns. My shiny Celebi came out, conveniently with the half of a sprite of the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, as the sounds made it sound like multiple screech attacks used consecutively. Red sound out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he is level 255 and his sprite seems sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight, item, Pokemon, and run menu, I was only given the option to use the attacks. Since Celebi only has one, I chose it. Naturally, since Pikachu was level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. Celebi used Perish Song. In 3 turns, both Pokemon get KO'd, not like I have a choice. At this point, it didn't go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. Also, I note that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which he didn't do much damage despite his level, and boosted his health was maxed. Celebi used Perish Song. Nothing happens as it was already used. Pikachu used Frustration, which did a shit ton of damage, knocking Celebi down to less than 10 HP. Celebi used Pain Split, which surprised me as Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. But now Pikachu and Celebi have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Look, not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of Perish Song, my Celebi fainted. Except in the text it said Celebi has died. And instead of the ordinary drop off the screen animation, Celebi's back sprite just vanished. For some reason, Pikachu was still up, even with the Perish Song, and it didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used one more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards, it said Pikachu has died, with a slow fade-out animation. Apparently, I was the winner, as the transparent red sprite showed up and said, ... At that point, I just freaked out, as the transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded! Oh, jeez! Leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then ended at that point, fading along with the music. I am back in the overworld, with another change to the gold sprite. He's just now as transparent as Red's overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, whereas this time the only things remaining of him was his head, with a transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing a black void in his eyes. It stated now that he has now 40 badges. I then backed out and checked my Pokemon. They were all level 20 shiny unknown, which spelled out and read, no more. I was at what now I know is next to the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like something was there that could be heard. I was back in my room in New Barktown. Maybe I finally get to play this game properly, but who am I kidding? I knew that sadistic fuck must have done something. I quote-unquote walked around my room to interact with things, as I'm a bit afraid to go down the stairs to see what was waiting for me down there. No, I said walked, as while the background was moving, Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating like those ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears normal, except Mom isn't home. Excuse me. After failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, that door leading outside to the south didn't work, as I instead just walked straight into a void. I continued moving south to see what the fuck was going on. My house vanishes as I head south into the void. It was creepy, as when I entered the void, the outline of Gold's transparent sprite turned white to contrast with the pitch black. Eventually, I reached a white area with Gold's sprite turned to black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. He said, goodbye forever. Notably within the space between forever and ... and vanished. As that happened, it said question mark used nightmare. Which at that point, I would not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I appreciate you, Bagheera, and thank you, Unstable. My power company has been bonking me today. It blipped like 7 times, but was out for 3 hours early and an hour just now. Oh my goodness. That is rough. On Halloween, too. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, did another animation, escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I'm now back into that small hollowed out room surrounded by graves earlier. At least I say I was back there, but there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved. Not even a wall bumping noise. I checked my trainer profile with absolutely no gold sprite left. It said I had 0 badges, and all the pictures of the Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked my Pokemon, which were all level 25 unknown. As expected, it spelled out a phrase that I dare to read. I'm dead. As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room I suddenly was in was covered with the same blocks as walls. I then figured out exactly what the room was next to the final text. It was said, "Rest in peace." That room was a big grave, surrounded by other graves. Gold has already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges, attempted to become a Pokemon Master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape from that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which then I decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the quote-unquote gimmick unknown the same way again. They say the only first generation folk tales and legends, but the second generation showed me the unpleasant truth it can be. I eventually enjoyed Soul Silver immensely, but I still can't unthink of what that rigged game has told me. The game. The early Charlotte 2010, a complete working fan game of Lost Silver was made. This game is its own executable rather than a ROM hack, and therefore does not require an emulator nor a Pokemon Silver ROM. There's been talk about expanding the story. There's been talks about expanding the story by a different series of events, but the player chooses no. The sign says, "Turn back now." While many people believe that the events were choosing no, which is referred to as hidden by fans, is made up addition by the fans. It is in fact made up by the original writer in the response to the creator of the fan game. The standalone fan game was made using an underlying Pokemon engine created by the game creation called Game Maker. The source and file can be downloaded and edited here. Wow. Wait, is that an actual thing? Is that an actual game? I kind of want to Google it. I'm a little curious. Show the artist I come to grocery stores. No! Don't do that! Don't do that! Okay. I am actually genuinely curious. So... Oh my god. This is an actual... There's a video on this, you guys! Holy shit! There's a continuation, you guys! Oh my goodness! Oh, I am very curious. Okay, I'm gonna read the continuation. Give me just a second. Excuse me. Okay. The following is OP's continuation of Lost Silver. The cartridge to this day haunts me with questionable origins. For over 2 years, both the game and I have been called fakes. For over 2 years, people have insisted that the ROM hack could not possibly exist, and that it's too complicated to be a real ROM hack. But I do not blame those people for being skeptical. They haven't played it. I can assure them that hearing the cartridge, or hell, even having the cartridge is the same one thing. But playing it is something else entirely. For the past 2 years, I've searched the internet for the ROM of this hack and found nothing, with the exception of the fan game Lost Silver. I can only assume that there is only one copy of this hack, and I have it. So you all may be asking, why I have ever returned to speak again of it after 2 years of near complete silence? That will be revealed in due time. All I can tell you is that after the passing of these 2 years, I decided to play it again and did some new exploring. And what I found was interesting, to say the least. Roughly a year and a half ago, I informed the fan game designer of the additional parts to this hack. The parts other than the main story of the hidden path. In addition, he informed this to the rest of you. However, I never gave him too much detail, and thus he gave you just as little. Sadly, it seems as he stopped making his fan game a while back, before the additional parts could be added. However, after all these years of silence, I can feel that they're no longer this hack's mysteries that I've been found forever hidden. Especially with the great following that this story has developed and kept- ah shit, there's an ad break. Damn it! I should have disabled ads. It's fine. I can rest my voice a bit. I appreciate it, Unstable. So how y'all doing? How's it going? There's an actual video on this creepypasta. That's pretty insane. Alright, let me see what let me see what Sunset posted. Oh, bogus! God damn it, the portrait. Being Amish is boring. I'm so sorry, Sky. Hey, Phases, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Sea of Stars. I hope you're having a great Halloween. Just waiting for the ad break to roll off and we will continue. I'm currently reading, I'm reading the continuation of Lost Silver, which is a Pokemon creepypasta. Where did the cats come from? So there's a group on Twitter who make VTuber assets, and they made the background and the cats. So yeah. Here, I will send you the link because there's an ad break. Okay. There you go. Okay, sorry about that, chat. Give me just a second. Since the wonderful ad break is over. Also, Phases, I don't know if you heard me, but thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Sea of Stars. Okay. It's even worse when it's off and on so constantly. Like, do I ever want to try and get into doing something? I feel that, Sky. I'm so sorry. Okay. Let me see here. Especially with the great following that the story has developed and kept over the years. Therefore, I decided that tonight I will start to tell you everything, piece by piece, if you choose to listen. For this third part, I simply played the game as I normally did. However, normal you can consider this hack to begin with. Upon passing the turn back now sign and being dragged down from the graveyard, I enter the red room with massive immobile pillar. However, instead of walking north to red as I originally did, I tried to interact with the pillar by pressing A. With that, the screen went black and a text box appeared saying, "Go back." After the... Don't post the... No! Unstable, I swear to God. As the message disappeared, I found myself walking out of the southeastern exit of the Elix Forest. Everything seemed like normal silver now, as my trainer sprite was white-colored, disappeared, and its original red palette was restored. The normal forest music was playing too, without any glitch alterations. I was amazed at the possibility that I might have broken out of the hacked portion of the game and returned to the normal silver that I intend to play with when I first bought the cartridge over 2 years ago. I checked my Pokemon, praying for something normal, but what I found was a normal Celebi, level 100, an unnamed Typhlosion, level 90, and an egg. Though my playthroughs of this hack left me unnerved by the party, the sudden lack of unknown seemed to ease the mood. I quickly checked out their moves, only to find nothing abnormal. Typhlosion had Flame Wheel, Thunder Punch, Return, and Lair, while the Celebi had Future Sight. The egg simply said, "It's not time." Closing the party, I looked at my trainer card, also praying for some sense of normalcy. The card matched the one with the beginning of the hack. Before all the gruesome deformities began, I also noticed that the player's name was now Gold instead of ... Closing the menu, I tried walking back through the southeastern gate, only to be met with the message not going back. With that, I knew my only way to continue was to leave through the northern entrance. However, as I began to traverse through the forest, I started knowing that this forest had been It's thundering outside. Yeah. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Let's see. This, along with the constant array of cut trees blocking the countless paths, I made it difficult to find its way through. But through trial and error, I eventually made it through most of the distortion and found myself in front of the forest shrine. Although I had already had Celebi, I felt the need to interact with the shrine, so I pressed A. Suddenly, I heard Celebi's cry. A message appeared saying, "Celebi is ready." Confused, I pressed A again, only to get Celebi's cry again, slightly louder, and had a new message that said, "Celebi wants to go now." Taking it as a cue, I tried to continue my trek northward. However, I was stuck in front of the shrine as Gold would not move. With nothing else to do, I pressed A a third time on the shrine. Once again, I heard Celebi's cry, louder still, and received a third message that Celebi wants to end this. And with that, the screen went black again. Hi Reed, welcome in! I hope you're having a good Halloween! To my dismay, the area I was now in was in Goldenrod City. However, it did not share either of the bleak tones from the hidden versions of the city. Though the southern exit was blocked off, the palette was normal, and the music. Traveling forward, I found all the gym leaders, the professors, Mom, and Lance just as in hidden. However, they were normal, shockingly, given this hack's usual tone. They had each their own words of encouragement to say. Professor Elm said, "This lead will break through in Pokemon research. Make me proud, Gold." Faulkner then said, "You will fly to the greatest heights. Make me proud, Gold." Dyslexia. And Jasmine said, "I believe in your iron spirit. Make me proud, Gold." The cycles continued with all of them, saying something akin to their personality, often with a pun on each gym leader's type. I also noticed that all of them ended their dialogue with, "Make me proud, Gold." However, that changed when I reached the end of the line, where Gold's mom stood there, where she uttered something very different in tone. "If it's what you must do, then I can't stop you. Please be safe, Gold." This was surprising, as she was the only one who seemed to hint at doubt. She seemed worried, but before I could do anything, I heard Celebi's cry again, as the screen went black. I felt a chill down my spine as I found myself transported to the pathway leading to the Tin Tower in Nekrutik City, in which I called the hidden part of the hack was where the first story took place. Just like there, the music was silent. However, knowing by this point that it was pointless to deviate from the hack's set path, I pressed forward. In front of the tower, I read the sign which said, "He awaits," without any alternative. I braced myself and entered the tower. Hey, storm that's happening outside, could you not? I'm trying to tell a scary story here. Thank you. Quiet down, will ya? Okay. Let's see here. It looked just as it did with the end of Hidden. However, the northern path, presumably leading to the beginning of the hack, as it was just in case of Hidden, was blocked off. Upon walking to the far right side of the room, I found a ladder. The screen turned black and stayed about that way for 40 seconds, with the climb ladder sound playing 8 times, once every 5 seconds. After the 8th sound, Gold appeared on the floor of Tin Tower that was only 4 squares big, eerily reminding me of the 4-square graveyard. And one of those squares had yet another ladder on it, diagonal to Gold. As I moved towards the ladder, I received another message that read, "Don't do ... As the last ladder was gone, I had no choice but to climb the final ladder. At this point, I found myself with a normal roof tower at the top of the screen, sat a normal-looking Ho-Oh. Upon interaction, Ho-Oh's cry screamed loud and pitched higher than normal. The battle began and Ho-Oh, level 99, appeared with a menacing look on its face. A sped up, yep. Thank you! You're ruining my story time! Okay. Ho-Oh's cry screamed loud and pitched higher than normal. The battle began and Ho-Oh, level 99, appeared with a menacing look on its face. A sped up yet pitched down version of the wild battle theme played. A sped up yet pitched of the wild battle theme played. Since he was first in my party, Celebi went out. However, noting the obvious type of disadvantage, I chose to shift Celebi out for Typhlosion, but was interrupted by the text saying, "No." I tried again, but this time I met with, "I can't." With no other choice, I proceeded to Celebi's moves and chose Future Sight. Thank you for the hydrate, I appreciate it. What did you come back to? It's storming, and I'm reading the continuation of Lost Silver, which is a Pokemon creepypasta. Let's see here. Celebi used Future Sight. Celebi foresaw an attack, which, despite it being the normal text, made me very uneasy as to Ho-Oh's attack. Ho-Oh used Sacred Fire. It was a one-hit KO, and the screen cut to black again. Afterwards, a message said Celebi was before the distorted Celebi cry played. The screen faded back in, and I found myself back at the beginning of the hack, once again, just as the end of Hidden. I noticed no changes were brought on by this additional story at first. I continued back through the game as normal until I returned to the red room with the massive pillar. Gold had his ghostly features and the party of 5 unknown, as was normal. However, his shiny Celebi now had the name Away, but upon further inspection, I found that the unknown had changed the original dying to a new word, burnt. From there, I played through the rest of the hack until reaching the end and the graveyard with the unknown that spelled "I'm dead." By this point, I was becoming increasingly interesting in the hidden sections of this hack. Now that I was quickly learning that the first story was only a tiny fraction of the full story, I knew I had to keep exploring. I knew that these stories had to connect somehow. There is so much more that I hadn't seen. Much more. Holy shit. Very interesting. Like, super interesting. There's videos on this, too. There's so many pictures. It's so weird. And we're going deeper down the rabbit hole. This was not my intention. If this was an actual ROM, I would be interested to play it. That's so interesting. Yeah, there's like 2 videos on this. An article on the hidden portion of the game is not on the Pokeposter Wiki. If you wish to know about it, you have to see the video of what happens when you select note the turn back now sign. Thank you for the hydrate. Also no sound redeems today because this is ASMR, so. Well, it's an attempt to be anyway. No issues, Doomy. No issue. No issue. I will make sure you are refunded. Okay. Let me see here. What's your friend Silver? Author note / content warning. This Poke Pasta contains somewhat in-depth descriptions of gore, unsettling imagery, and some existential horror themes. Please read at your own discretion. Oh boy. Like, what kind of gore are we talking about? Oh, this one's long. Is there some creepy picture at the end? Hold on. Hold on. I'm just skimming through this real quick. And there's a picture at the bottom. I will not be looking at the creepy picture at the bottom. Okay. Sure. Sure, why not? Okay. Let's start from the beginning of your friend Silver. He looks so happy. Over and over again it looped, a cycle of death, rebirth, immortality, and the suffering that came with it. Memories tend to make up a person. Without them, who are you really? Your only sense of self, crafted from your experiences, your life lived so far. What happens when that is taken from you? Are you no better than a robot, being made to carry out a task or a script assigned to it? So, should you want to break that cycle? What happens? Welcome to a story of broken people, cycles, and lost souls of hate and revenge. My revenge. The story of your best friend, Silver. Things had seemed all over the place for Ethan today, but he had thought it'd be too good a thing until just now. He had finally gotten his Poke gear fixed up. Professor Elm gave him his first ever Pokemon, and it was entrusted to go out on his own for the first time for it to deliver something important. He even got to meet Professor Oak himself, who gave him his very first own Pokédex. He had been beaming since he had stepped foot into the first route leading out of his hometown, the townsfolk enjoying his cheery disposition as he said hello to everyone had passed. It hadn't even crossed his mind that just before he received his new friend Totodile, he had an odd encounter with a strange new boy just outside the lab. He didn't let it bother him. Ethan had too much good going on for him to let any weirdo get his mood down. At least until Elm called him again, sounding terrified. Elm? Ethan? Ethan? You have to come back right away. Something terrible has happened. People are hurt. Oh no. What do I do? What happened? Ethan questioned, but doesn't hesitate as he quickly proceeds down to the trail back towards New Barkpit Town. A strange boy broke into the window. He threatened us, and he stole our Cyndaquil. But if my assistants tried to apprehend him before he got away, Oh no. With red hair? I saw him looking through the window earlier, Ethan huffs, mildly losing his breath as he hurried into Cherry Grove. Ethan, whatever you do, if you see that boy on your way back here, you stay as far away as possible. Just be careful, okay? I already called the police and the paramedics. They should be here soon. Stay away. Of course, Ethan figured if he managed to hurt someone, the boy was likely armed. He hurries through the town plaza and heads towards the route, where he quickly skids to a stop, coming face to face with the very person Elm warned him about. Ethan inhales sharply, backing up a few feet and quickly standing behind his Totodile. Oh, you. Hey there, the redhead approaches, a chipper tone in his voice. Didn't quite sound like he remembered. His hands were held behind his back, eyes closed, with a strange, knowing smile that seemed to give Ethan a pit in his stomach. Ethan recognized the boy from earlier. He remembers looking around the side of the lab just earlier this morning, and despite how it looked, he was actually rather friendly to him. Sorry, don't mind me. I was just thinking about something back there. It's awfully cozy, isn't it? His smile was soft, eyes shut in a relaxed expression. Something about it made Ethan uneasy, but he didn't understand why at all. I guess so. Who are you? The boy raises a brow, almost like he didn't expect Ethan to speak to him. Nobody that important. I'll tell you more about me after you get yourself a Pokemon. Deal? Okay. Ethan hadn't thought much of the boy before. He was a bit strange and off-putting, but nothing made him seem like he was dangerous. But now, you got a Pokemon at the lab, right? The boy continued. Shame, you got the one I wanted, but it's alright. Ethan subconsciously steps back as he noticed the strange boy reaching into his pocket. Stay back! Who are you? Even are you? What happened back at the lab? The boy stops. His smile falls. I don't know what you're talking about, Ethan. Ethan's stomach drops. How do you know my name? How wouldn't I? We're best friends now, aren't we? Rivals even? Ethan swears he could see the boy's eyes open just a crack. His eyes looked red and unfocused. All it took was the courage to not turn the other way, but something was clearly wrong with the trainer in front of him. He couldn't stop that part of him, and he wanted to help him either. Why did he want to help him? Besides, you awfully come from an awfully small town, you know. It's not hard to hear everyone's names after enough time. His off-putting smile returns, and he continues shuffling through his pocket. And a moment after, he pulls out a Pokeball, tossing it in the air and catching it. You can call me Silver. I have a Pokemon too now. Want to have a battle? Ethan and his Totodile share an uneasy glance. He nervously grabs the strap of his bag as he weighs the situation in over his head. If he refused to cooperate, who knew what this boy could do? His Pokemon were strong, but he couldn't fight a person off the way it was right now. He silently asks his new friend to stay brave, and the small croc bounces forward, ready to fight. Silver looks like he wants to battle! True. Okay, Ethan murmurs and furrows his brow, putting on a strong exterior. But if I win, you have to leave me alone and give back the Pokemon you stole at the lab. Silver's expression was hard to read. It looked puzzled, yet amused? Started to chuckle. I like the way you do things, Ethan. Deal. Silver nonchalantly tosses his Pokeball on the ground. Cyndaquil pops out, looking dazed and confused. It looked wounded, as if it were about to faint. Ethan, nod when. Ethan's face turns in discomfort and frustration. Something was very wrong. A sense of imminent danger hung heavy in the air between two trainers. But just so we're clear, if I win, you and I are going to be spending a lot of time together. Water was much stronger than fire was, and Ethan was likely to win. Ethan knew he had to win. But Totodile seemed to be hesitating to attack the other starter Pokemon. To kick its friend while it was already practically out already, Totodile used a scratch, causing Cyndaquil to reel back as if it was going to fall over. It wobbles on its feet, then steadies. The Cyndaquil looks up at its new trainer. Silver's fingers merely twitch. His Pokemon flinches. What the hell is wrong with you? Ethan muttered under his breath. How could one boy do so much damage in so little time? How could he be so uncaring about the way he's hurt other people? There's nothing wrong with me, Ethan. Silver tilts his head. I just know a lot more than they do, and they don't like that very much. Silver chuckles again as Ethan's expression shifts to that of confusion. This kid was crazy. He had to be. The redhead continues. Ethan, I've done this more times than I can count. I guess I'm a little tired of staying on script. Even if this was my favorite game, I'm so bored of having to lose all the time. Drawing the short straw in the pile, so to speak. I just want something different. It's only fair, since I was here before you. Surely you can understand that, right? Its Cyndaquil arches its back up, charging up the flames much brighter than it should be able to conjure. You know those type of matchups work, right? I bet you were expecting to win, but I'm afraid types only do so much when you're going against broken stats and levels. Silver's eyes finally open, and Ethan is met with a face-to-face, dilated pupils. His sclera were barely visible. Then the subtly smile loosens, showing gums, showing sharp canines, enough to tear somebody apart with ease. His grin was wicked and unhinged, and slowly lifting his hand in offering to the trainer. Cyndaquil howls in pain, shooting off a blast of fire and it from its back and striking Totodile hard, even with the strength of water against the other typing. Totodile is knocked off of his feet immediately, hitting the ground hard in Ethan's feet. Hi, Gonzo! Welcome in! Oh my gosh, this is really creepy. The smoke and embers in the air nearly turned the sky around them red as eternal fire, the cries of the Pokemon in the battle mixing with the overwhelming scent of charred flesh and the smoke bewildering towards them. Hi, Nix! Welcome in! I hope you're having a happy Halloween too! We're just reading some creepypastas, which is probably a mistake, IMO. Okay. Let's see here. Ethan yells out in pain as the flame grazes his arm and cheek, rapidly diving out the way of pathing the flame was out before he could set ablaze like his partner. He shut his eyes as tight as possible, covering his ears to drown out the sound of his starter's horrific screeches of pain as the Cyndaquil scorches him without remorse. The sounds straight from hell felt as though they invaded his mind. It felt like an eternity. The sheer heat-making drips of sweat pour from his brow, mixing with the tears trickle out of his eyes. The smell was nauseating. The smoke made it hard for him to breathe. This was it, Ethan thought. He was going to die here. But then, silence. Ethan felt like he couldn't inhale for the longest time. His hands trembled as they pressed firmly over his ears, and the tingling pain from the burn on his arm was starting to reach his brain as the muffled sound of Pokemon being recalled into their ball snapped him out of his daze. Give me just a second. Chat, give me just a second. I'll be right back. Shut up, Sky! Okay. Hey, JM, welcome in! And thank you, I appreciate it. This is just an asset. This is a little costume, but I appreciate the compliment. Sorry, chat. I had some minor phone issues, but we are good now. Thank you, thank you. Okay. What was I reading again? Okay, let's see here. Ethan felt like he couldn't inhale for the longest time. Ethan doesn't move as he hears footsteps approach him. He doesn't open his eyes as he feels someone crouch over in front of him. He bites down on his tongue as he feels Silver's hands gently grabbing his own, moving them down. Open your eyes, friend. He didn't want to, but Ethan complied. He felt like he was going to be sick as he stared into Silver's gaping, soulless pupils. The boy stared through him, smile ever present on his face. Hey, guess what? Silver begins to giggle, tilting his head and interlocking his fingers with one of Ethan's hands. I won. Unable to take any more stress, Ethan's vision began to swim and sway. Slowly, his eyes roll back in the back of his head, and he slumps over, passed out. Scariest Halloween moments when you find out the VTuber isn't a girl IRL. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Silver leaves the unconscious trainer on the ground. He slowly rose to his feet and stepped over the side of the mutilated Totodile, observing it like it was some sort of experiment to him. It still lay motionless on the ground. Its face was gone, but there was no blood. Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, what do I say here? If I'm describing something, is it viewer discretion is advised? Listener's discretion is advised? This is bad. This is really fucked up. Its face was gone, but there was no blood. It was all cauterized shut. Scorched flesh collected around as framed to an exposed skull, covered in soot and ash. It gargles senselessly, barely able to make a sound. This poor creature continues to twitch helplessly on the ground, silently begging whoever was by its side to let him go back into their ball, put them out of their misery, anything to stop the pain it was in. I've seen worse get fixed before. Maybe a trip to the Pokemon Center is in your future, huh? Silver silently recalls the Totodile to its ball as the last smell of the charred flesh began to subside. The sky clears as though nothing had happened there at all. The only evidence of Silver's deeds now lay in the memories of himself and Ethan. He turns to Ethan, grin still on his face as he spoke, knowing that somewhere, at least subconsciously, the other trainer heard him loud and clear. Remember, Ethan, I did say what would happen if you lost. You should be a good friend and get stronger for when we see another again. I don't want you to bore me in our next battle. Silver walked closer, Pokeball in hand. You know, I'm surprised you didn't pass out sooner. Silver's voice echoes on the edge of Ethan's mind. Better leave you here. He won't be happy about what I just did, but I'd be lying if it didn't make me feel the most alive I've felt in many cold, lonely years. Silver sighs as he adjusts Ethan's body in his arms and props him up to sit against the white picket fence, protecting the flowers on the other side. Like he had done nothing at all, he simply grins and begins walking away, proud of what he'd just done. Ethan can't seem to remember how long he was out for, but the sun was setting. The sound of his Pokegear going off repeatedly finally woke him. Lurching forward, he felt a wave of nausea as he weakly laid back down. The sensation of a doctor's exam table and the familiar hum of fluorescent lighting gently lulled him back into consciousness as he finally awoken from what felt like the worst nightmare of his life. It was then the sound of his ringtone finally reached his ears, and as weakly opens it, rummaging in his pocket, he finally lifts the Pokegear to his ears. Hello? His voice was hoarse and exhausted. Ethan? Oh, thank goodness you're alright. Where on earth are you? You've been gone all day. The voice was his mother. Upon hearing it, Ethan relaxed immediately. I'm okay, I think, he murmurs, still trying to shake off the exhaustion from his body, sitting with a bit of effort. It seemed he had been taken to the Pokemon Center after someone found him unconscious on the road. I think I blacked out. The deep sigh of worry from the other side of the call makes Ethan frown. The professor has been worried sick something happened to you. Something to do with the incident this morning. She continues. Ethan, dear, please tell me. Did you go near that redhead boy? Please tell me you didn't. Ethan falls silent. He remembered the horrible things he saw, but the amount of concern in the voice of his mother tugged at him. Maybe it was better not to worry her. No, Mom, I didn't see him. I just ran all the way back and... I don't know. I guess I overworked myself. Ethan let out a nervous chuckle. He hopes she believes him. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then she sighs. Okay, I believe you. Just when you feel better, please come home soon. The police are still at the lab taking questions, and they want to hear from you too. I will, Mom. I'll be there soon. I promise. It took all of his energy to hang up the phone, even more to pull himself off of the cot the nurse's Pokemon Center had set him on. And out of the room they had completely emptied for him. He thanked the nurse at the desk and hobbles to the exit. He appreciated being bandaged, seeing as his arm didn't quite sting as much as it did before. Ethan steps out of the somewhat chilly evening air, warily looking around. He takes a few cautious steps down the road and looks both ways, hoping that this quote-unquote Silver wasn't around. The thought of seeing him again made his stomach turn. His anxiety spikes as he approaches the road where he saw his Totodile get mutilated right in front of him. Yet, he saw no Pokemon there, not even a scorch mark on the ground. It was like it never happened at all, but Totodile was still missing. How was he going to get home now? He reaches into his pocket to call his mom back, but feels what seemed to be a Pokeball. Ethan pulls it out and holds it in his hand. Ethan considered not opening it, but he had to know what was inside of it now. He dreaded the possibility of his Totodile being there, and if the nurses hadn't known to heal him. Ethan closes his eyes tight, holding the ball away from him as he presses the button to open it. He drops it and immediately covers his ears, flinching. He stood there for about 10 seconds. Upon hearing no scream, he peeks an eye open. Stood in front of him, it was looking up at Ethan, was a Cyndaquil, who let out a soft chirp, seeming to be happy Ethan was okay. It still looked a little wobbly, but it was much better than it was while Silver had him. Ethan picks up the ball nervously, then Cyndaquil. I guess I got to save you at least, he sighs. Cyndaquil chitters happily in his arms. Ethan bleakly began to walk back towards near Barktown. He didn't even want to imagine what became of his Totodile now. Before he got to the route, he notices a small card on the road where Silver had been standing there. Cautiously, he picks it up and inspects it, recognizing it to be the Redhead's trainer card. His eyes look normal on it compared to what they were now. Only the name on the card had read something totally different, and there seemed to be something called Playtime on the back, something Ethan didn't recognize at all. It was thousands, with all badges from Johto, even next to the next region over, in Kanto. Had he just fought a champion? Ethan nervously heads down to the route to New Barktown, holding the card tightly in his hand. The name written on it gave him the same pit in his stomach before, but he didn't know why it made him so uneasy. Hi, Kaiju, welcome in, and hello, Nona. It's nice to see all you guys. Happy Halloween. How you guys doing? We're reading Pokemon creepypastas. So I read. What did I read? I read the first one I read was Pokemon Lost Silver. I read that one. Oh, thank you, Kaiju. I appreciate it. And now I'm reading Your Friend Silver. There's a picture at the bottom here, and I can't look at it. I'm so bad with horror. Had he just fought a champion? Ethan nervously heads down to the route in New Barktown, holding the card tightly in his hand. The name written on it gave him the same pit in his stomach as before, but he didn't know why it made him so uneasy. Had he done this before and he not remembered? All he knew is that this name stood out to him in a way he didn't understand. Elias? Why was it so familiar? Oh, how Silver loved a new turn of events. He skips out of Violet City Gym the next morning before the sun rose. A tune as he juggles his Pokeballs in his hands. The feeling of finally breaking the sequence he had been forced to play over and over again for ages. Oh no. Wait, I think I know what happened. He took Ethan's spot. Oh no! That's why he has the Cyndaquil. Oh no. Okay. The feeling of finally breaking the sequence he had been forced to play over again for ages, the most freeing experience he had in so long. He had finally won something on his own for once, and he didn't have to wait around for someone to come in the same town as him in order to be actually able to progress forward. Silver catches his team in his arms, striding over and over to heal them up in the nearby Pokemon Center, ignoring the clearly uncomfortable look the nurse gives him. He couldn't shake the feeling that somebody was definitely watching him as he continued to veer his actions in his own way, but he was sure if he kept moving, it would all be okay. Which was next? He found himself wondering. A critique, maybe? Silver hums a quiet tune. Admittedly, he had been in the same town many times to count, so the order of things seemed to blur together in his mind over time. The same adventure he and his friend had done over and over again, yet after a while, if Silver messed something up enough, it would all begin again, and they wouldn't remember a thing. It was how it had been for years since he woke up here. He doesn't remember how his consciousness came to fruition here, but he knew one thing, that boy Ethan was a no-good liar and a thief. He didn't deserve to have the amazing adventure he did. This was his game. Still, Silver wondered if the same thing would happen now, stopping in the middle of the route he had absent-mindedly entered. He soon became more aware of his surroundings. He didn't recognize this route. The forest paths were always very dark before the sun rose, but never this dark. He could barely see a foot in front of him. The only sound of the darkness was gentle, rustling the trees on the wind, and the occasional cry from a bug Pokemon hiding nearby. Despite it seeming normal to anyone else, Silver couldn't shake the feeling rising within him from the place he didn't recognize. It didn't feel safe here. It wasn't safe here. Something was out there. He didn't understand what this feeling was to make his chest tighten and his ankle feel sore. It was so close, yet nothing came to him. Silver had done what he needed, and he wasn't being controlled by a script, so he could outrun anyone. Why was he so afraid of a forest of all things? Suddenly, like a neatly stitched out wound, something within Silver's mind breaks open, and the memories oozed out like blood from a flesh wound. He seemed to find comfort in his DS, which was a hand-me-down from his sister, and a faded pink color with a missing stylus let him play his favorite game. He didn't care if his classmates bullied him, or if everyone called him the creepy quiet kid. What is going on? I am so confused. It made him happy. It would keep him happy even if he finally graduated from this horrible place next month. He just wished he had someone he could share this happiness with. The kid had moved down the road and began going to school. It didn't seem to be interested in him, but he hadn't totally shunned Elias away just yet. Oh, wait a second. Wait a minute. This is all coming together now. Maybe. He hadn't totally shunned Elias away yet, so he considered to be his best shot at a friend. He told him his name was Max. He learned of his hobbies, his fears. Elias had hoped Max would consider him his friend because he did stuff for him. It had to be easy, right? It was so easy for anyone else to make friends. Surely that's what this was. On one particularly slow lunch period, Elias had brought his DS and began playing his favorite game. It was his favorite way to ignore the world around him for more of a favorable one where he didn't need to be himself. He tried to ignore it when the other students came up to him. He tried to ignore it when they tried to talk to him to get a reaction. It wasn't until they called Max over that he looked up. Our buddy over here told us how you've been following him around. What are you, some kind of stalker? One boy shouts, jabbing a finger in Elias's direction. I don't know what you're talking about, Elias finally responds, an air of frustration in his voice. Me and Max are friends. I'm not following him around. He wanted to hang out with me. He looks to the boy he thought shared those thoughts with him. Right, Max? Tell them. But Max doesn't say anything. He simply avoids making eye contact with Elias, taking a step back. He doesn't want to be your friend, you creep, so leave him alone, another boy calls. Elias grips his DS tighter, furrowing his brow. Max? His voice is quieter now. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Finally, Max sighs, and Elias brightens, expecting the other to defend him. Sorry, Ellie. They're right. I can't be your friend. You're not bad, you're just... Max winces. Too intense for me. Elias could feel his hopes shattered then and there. His eyes wide as cold. Stabbing hurt strikes him in his chest. Too intense? What did too intense mean? Was he really that bad? Max always seems to enjoy his company before. Was it all just a lie to make him feel better? Did anyone ever really like him? A feeling of betrayal fills him. He thought he had done everything right, and yet... Before he could open his mouth to say anything, one of the teens that surrounded him grabbed his DS out of his own hands and threw it into the fenced-off woods across the yard. Then it rolled down the hill and disappeared from sight. Go fetch your stupid DS and don't come back until you learn to be normal for once, you freak. Elias couldn't ignore how they laughed at him as he climbed the fence to retrieve it. He couldn't ignore the fact that he knew that teachers and guidance counselors and parents would never do anything about it. They all thought it was him. They all thought he was strong, creepy, quote-unquote, intense. As he stood at the forest door opening, he decided if he couldn't ignore the world here, then perhaps if he walked far enough, he could. Even if he were ignoring the signs that pointed out to obvious danger, too. Elias retrieved his DS and looked back. The other teens had walked off, but Max remained. His face was hard to read from far away, but he almost seemed guilty. He considered coming back until Max ultimately turns away, walking with the other boys that had tormented him for ages before. Anger swirling like a flame in his heart, he turned and continued further into the thicket, feeling more and more assured as the sounds of the school grew more and more distant. Intense. Intense. They wouldn't know intense if it burned them alive. They wouldn't know intense if it tore them apart piece by piece. They wouldn't know intense if it ate them from the inside out and left them to rot. He'd show them intense. He'd show them all. Elias didn't care to follow a path. He just continued forward and forward until the sun had already gone down and he still didn't find the other side. His stomach growls as he finds a path, wishing he didn't walk with such reckless abandon. The little bit of light from his DS was the only way that he could see in front of him. The music playing from his paused game soothing his nerves. The boy passes a faded warning sign as he can't see well enough to read. It puts him on edge. The sound of Ilex forest theme is the only thing that was keeping him calm now as he walks through the seemingly endless darkness. He couldn't see the ground. He couldn't see what he was stepping on. Till it was too late. Clank. A harsh metal sound, a hard sound against metal, and Silver screams. He shoots up from where he'd been propped up against the tree, clutching at his right leg in panic as he attempted to catch his breath. Only, there was nothing wrong with it. He was unharmed. Silver hadn't realized he'd fallen asleep. He didn't remember doing so. His eyes stung, as though they had been open for ages. He takes in a deep, trembling breath as he looks at his surroundings, calming himself down properly. It appeared as though the sun was up enough to see the route paths again. He brings a shaking hand up to his face, rubbing his eyes. It stung even to touch them. Silver had been given a nightmare, but a memory too. A realization that there was a reason he knew he'd done this many, many times. Silver looks back at Violet Town and reconsiders where he had planned to go next. Ethan. He should see his best friend. Ethan, he could calm him down. Ethan supposed things could be worse now. He couldn't shake what had happened the day before. But his mother and Professor Elm still ushered him to try and start his journey again, despite the seriousness of what had occurred. It almost felt like Elm had forgot his best aid in his studies. Despite the now empty desk in his lab, even with the burn on his arm, no one even seemed to acknowledge his injuries. It was like nothing happened at all to the people in New Barktown. However, he was able to get a bit of treatment from the Pokemon Center, and his new Pokemon, Cyndaquil, who now seemed to be a lot more happy, was doing better than how it was before, healthier and not pushing itself to output flames capable of harming itself. Ethan shudders, imagining the horrific image of his old starter mangling and disfigured on the ground in front of him. Part of him wondered, how did he get the Cyndaquil now anyway? Was it Silver that sat him there and traded with him in his sleep? His introspection stops at the side of the Slowpoke well. What appeared to be two Team Rocket grunts were chatting with each other, but they didn't seem cocky or smug at all. As Ethan got closer, he noticed their injuries, and how one was shakily babbling to the other one about a redhead kid that has gone nuts. He felt a pit in his stomach, but against his better judgment, slowly approaches the two grunts with wary expression. Hey, did you say something about a boy with red hair? Ethan meekly asked, fidgets with his bag strap. The grunt demeanor shifts a moment, giving Ethan an unpleasant sneer. Who's asking? We don't just give information to random people who walk up to us, you know. The other grunt, who was clearly more shaken up, sighs more deeply than giving Ethan a proper answer. He messed us up good, kid. I don't think we've seen anything like it. What happened? Ethan inquires. The grunt hesitates, but continues. He came up with us with his crocodile and just started talking about how we're not worth of his time, but the thing started tearing both Pokemon and the trainers apart. We had to escape the well, but most of us didn't make it out there. Ethan's blood ran cold. He looked towards the well. Is he still down there? The grunts look at each other, then nod. You gotta stay away from that kid. He's not normal. He's not normal at all. Just then, multiple Slowpoke appeared, trying to run away from the well entrance. A wooden creak of the ladder, learning that someone was coming back out. The grunts grasp and instantly start to run away. Hey, wait, where are you going? It's the freak! Run while you still have your legs, kid! One of them cries as one of them managed to make it around the corner. But, hey, Ethan! A very familiar voice purrs, much closer than Ethan knew it should have ever been. He screams, nearly tripping over his feet as he started to run, but a hand grips his jacket's hood, keeping him from getting away. Ethan sped around, trying not to pull the other's hand free, only to lock eyes with Silver, yet again. This time, though, he didn't appear to be smiling. Oh, relax, will you? I'm not gonna burn you again. I can't exactly do that with my team anyway, Silver states, almost smugly, before releasing Ethan's hood suddenly, causing the boy to fall onto his back. I want to talk to you. Ethan stares up at him, shocked. Talk? You want me to talk to you after what you did? What? You mean the battle we had? Relax. He's fine. Look. Silver holds the Pokeball to Ethan's old partner, and what popped out to be a Crocodile, looking completely unharmed as though nothing had happened to it. The only difference was its eyes. They were as wide as bloodshot as Silver's were. So as long as you don't kill them, any Pokemon is back to normal once you put them through the Poke Center machine. That's how it always works in here. Silver shrugs, staring at this casually as though he thought he'd done earlier wasn't a big deal at all. You're sick, Ethan whispers, grinding his teeth. You did all of that to him just so you could steal him? Silver rolls his eyes. Why are you even doing this? Ethan backs away. His eyes darted between the twisted gaze of Silver and his crocodile. Both stood there, unwavering. I already told you, because I'm bored, Silver says, sounding almost confused by the question in the first place. This isn't even your worst I've done to you before anyway. What are you talking about? You really don't remember anything, do you? Silver furrows his brow, looking disappointed. Ethan swallows, unsure what to do next. The thought of what had happened before suddenly struck the trainer with an idea. He quickly grabs his bag, fumbling with its contents, Wait, Ethan stammers. He pulls Silver's training card out, narrowing his eyes at it. This is yours, isn't it? Silver immediately moved to snatch it back, but Ethan manages to hold it out of reach just fast enough. The redhead glares, baring his teeth. Give it back. I'm not giving this back to you until you explain who and what you really are. Is Silver even your real name? With narrow eyes, Silver huffs and retracts his arm. You seem awfully eager to learn more about me now that you've obviously wanted nothing to do with me back then, he mutters. What? Ethan gave the other man a perplexed look. Silver finally breaks eye contact with Ethan for a moment, looking dejected, hurt, whatever happened to him before. Clearly impacted him quite a bit. Ethan looked up at him and down in the brief silence. He stops at the sight of a barely visible line tracing across his ankle through his pant leg. He wasn't sure what that small detail drew his attention so much. Elias? Silver's gaze immediately snapped back to Ethan. He was surprised by the sight that greeting him now. Silver's eyes, for once, they looked wide, pupils small. He almost looked like his old self. What did you just call me? Silver's voice was quiet for once. Ethan hesitated, glancing down at the card. Elias, that's the name on your trainer card, he gently explained, turning it over in his hands. After a moment, he finally held out to the other, who timidly plucks it from his hold, looking down on it. Is that your real name? Ethan asks. Silver doesn't respond. He looks at the heirloom of his identity, chance fixed on the name for a good minute, before glancing back up. A nearby rustle in the forest cuts him off. Rather than answer, Silver immediately looks frantically around the tree line, and behind him, the furrow that appeared on his brow left much to be known. Ethan could swear he almost looked afraid. That wasn't given the time that elaborated on his friend that had now grabbed his wrist and began to pull along with another word. Hey! Ethan stammered, attempting to pull away, but Silver appeared to be far stronger than him. Be quiet. Ethan promptly shut his mouth, eyes wide with fear, his mind racing with questions about this boy, this thing that wouldn't let him be. Worse yet, the possibility of something out there that scared Silver of all people. In here, Silver mutters, shoving Ethan into a small brush of foliage before crawling in next to him. What are you doing? Ethan attempted to ask, only to be quickly hushed by the redhead. Silver delicately moves a small branch out of the way and looks out of the path they were on previously. He narrows his eyes, watching a figure through and stopping to look around, looking for something or someone. Ethan squirmed to look out as much as Silver dismayed, judging by the growl that escaped a much too wide mouth. Peering through the opening, Ethan feels a glimmer of hope as he catches light of sight who seems to be Silver had been hiding from all this time. Professor Oak! Ethan's cry was met with a hand firmly clenched around his mouth in a snarl. What are you doing? Shut up! Silver whispers, panicking and anger present in his voice. Silver was simply unaware of how much Ethan wanted to get away from him. The way he acted almost made it seem like as though he thought Ethan was really his friend. Maybe he was curious. Maybe he wanted to find out what this redhead psycho's deal really was. But that didn't mean he had to stomach any of this. Through the shrubbery, Ethan catches a glimpse of the professor beginning to walk again, but it wasn't clear whether he had heard Ethan shout or not. Desperation wells up in the trainer's chest. He needed to get away, and this was his last chance. Ethan summons the courage and violently bites down on Silver's hand. Silver cries out in pain, and Ethan was given a brief moment of release to worm away and run from the tree line in panic. The redhead trainer cradled his hand, staying hidden, looking down at it. The same present anger boiled up in his chest once again. No broken skin, at least, but it hurt. What hurt more was the festering realization that his friend was still a liar. Maybe he should have expected that. It wasn't the first time. Oak! Professor Oak! Ethan cries out as he stumbled into the route path directly in front of the man who had grown to trust after their brief interactions before he had met Silver. His face was damp with sweat. Harold tussled about with Silver's manhandling and eyes wide, red, and fearful. He tries to catch his breath, wobbling on his feet before he falling to his knees. Oak, please, you have to help me. Ethan weakly croaks out. It's Silver. He won't leave me alone. He's hurting people and Pokemon. He's crazy. Please help me. He was met with silence. Ethan rarely looks up at the man, confused, until confusion turned into fear. Oak had no face. The only thing looking back at him was a singular eye illuminated in the dark void that replaced the once friendly visage of the professor Ethan had known. Ethan shudders, fearfully leaning away from him. The figure finally spoke after what ages of petrifying silence. Where is he? The trainer's mouth felt dry as he felt lifting a shaking finger and pointed towards the bushes that Silver had hid him in. In there, he pulled me in with them. Ethan stammers, his voice weak and shrill. Oak turned towards where Ethan had pointed and walked towards the brush without another word. 1 second. This is getting very intense. Let me snooze that real quick. Okay. Oak turned towards where Ethan had pointed and walked towards the bush without another word. In that moment, the bush stirred and shifted violently. Silver shot up to his feet with a fearful look in his dilated eyes, stumbling backwards before taking off in a sprint the deeper into the forest. His Magnemite was released at that moment, and released a bright flash. Oak finally stumbles back, shielding his eyes from the bright light, and the trainer and Pokemon run away. He lowers his arm, narrowing his eyes. Ethan shakily stood up, and holding his stomach, he felt queasy again, and it felt like none of this was real, and none of him hoped that he was just dreaming. That this wasn't how adventures would work out. That things were fun and happy and nothing went wrong at all. Ethan prayed that was the truth, closing his eyes tight, lost in thought. He hadn't realized that the professor had walked back until his side spoke up. "I will find him," he spoke. His voice a cold and artificial version of the professor Ethan knew. For now, continue onwards. When Ethan finally opened his eyes, he was alone again, except for a small note on the ground. Victory Road. Distract and wait. Amidst the cold cave that bridged the entrance to the Elite Four, rage and hurt could be barely hidden if stews within the last trainer left standing within it. A trail of destruction was left in his wake, deep gouges in the stone wall, and the faintest traces of viscera were left discernible. Still, the horrific rage that enveloped the boy massacred the path of champions. At the end of the tunnel, Elias sat there and softly wept. He could remember it all now, the betrayal of the one person he thought was his friend, his slow and painful death, alone, cold, and in agony. Nobody was close enough to hear his screams for help. That boy died in the forest all those years ago. Within this game, his soul became twisted, angrier and angrier with time until he could no longer stand the horrible eternity he had been stuck to. He could be Silver, but he could be the biggest mistake anyone ever knew of. He would show them all. The sound of tepid footsteps echoing closer and closer snaps Elias out of his wandering thoughts. He looked deeper into the cave, standing up and locking eyes once more with Ethan. His eyes were red and puffy, but still, his pupils dilate. And only at this time, it was in pure hatred. Elias snarls at the trainer, fingers trembling with the sheer despite to tear him apart himself. You should have given up when you had the chance. Ethan's expression was hard to read. He appeared nervous, yet as though he were hiding something. I know, he murmurs. I think I know who you are now. The line traced about Elias's ankle looked different now to when Ethan had seen him last. A dark, thick line that dug holes through his pant leg and revealed rotting, agitated skin that had been hiding just beneath this whole time. It oozed a dark crimson fluid, too vicious to truly be called blood anymore. You're not Silver. Elias glares, sneering as he responded. I never was, and I never wanted to be in here in the first place. I'm sorry. I know you're probably hurting, and I want to know if there's anything I could do to stop all of this. Ethan takes a step closer, and for a split second, Elias almost softens at the sight. Despite all of this, Ethan wanted to help him. What a fool he was. It's too late for that, Elias admitted in a low growl. You and I both know I'm beyond saving, and so are you. He stops. What do you mean? The air around him began to flicker. Elias hisses, gnashing his teeth and shifting to prepare an attack. The blood on his once yet clean, clammy hands dripped off his jagged nails. He looked truly monstrous, a far cry from the boy Ethan first saw at the beginning of his adventures. It was clear now. Elias hadn't even used his Pokemon to take down all the trainers of Victory Road. He killed them themselves, all mercilessly and without hesitation. Elias's body language made it apparent that he wasn't going to be convinced. Ethan sighs at that. You're never going to give me an answer, are you? To Ethan's surprise, Elias quietly chuckles. I already have. You just need to find it. What was once a stony cave around them was gone, as was Elias. Ethan now stood in silent, dark forest, the branches so dense above him that if there was sun, it obscured entirely. He felt completely caged in. The only noise discernible was the distant hum of crickets and flies. Not Pokemon? No Pokemon sounded like those. Where was he? He anxiously pulls his Pokegear out and opens his map, only to find the area blank. Not Johto, not Kanto, nothing. Ethan shudders, a chilling breeze shaking the branches around him. He felt a rising dread in his gut. He wasn't alone here. As he moved to take a step forward, his shoe scuffs against an object sitting on the ground against his feet. As he picked it up, it discovered to be a flashlight. It was supposed to be better than nothing, but if it refused to move, what was in this place with him would surely catch up, and fast. Old dry leaves crunch underneath Ethan's feet as he continues through this endless maze of foliage. Big snap around him, the sound of nearby movement, dread slowly as he hoped with all of his might that he would survive this. He thinks that he should have listened to everyone's warnings. He should have stayed away. Given up. He should have never spoken to that freak in the first place. Just then, a noise catches his ears. Music in the distance. Was the tune of Ilex Forest. Was that where he was the whole time? Had he been brought to a dangerous part of it and left there? Ethan squints, eyeing a tiny light in the far distance, barely visible between the trees. It was the way out, surely. He began to walk closer. Pausing as he reaches a faded sign lining in the area that he was about to enter. Shining the flashlight on it, he could barely make out the warning. See, it says cat in... It's very... Okay, it looks like this, chat. I can't read that. I can't read that without making sense. And so it says that. Okay. He had to be careful, keeping his flashlight pointed towards the ground. The light gleamed back at him as he caught numerous metal contraptions barbed with teeth. They all sat open, ready to clamp down at any daring pressure that stood on the plate to activate it. Ethan carefully weaved between them, taking a moment's look before taking every step, dragging his feet somewhat so as to not lift them up and step them on something he shouldn't. Clank. He yelps at the sound of one of the traps going off, but not on him. It was further away. Behind him, he whips around, flailing his arms to avoid falling over in the maze of the jagged metal teeth. His flashlight shined over, looking at the activated trap and seeing nothing within it. Blank. Another activated. Closer. Something was here, and it was something he couldn't see. Ethan began to panic. He looked back at this path. The light still seemed so far away. He moves quicker through the trap-laden forest. Beads of sweat began to form on his forehead in a struggle. Clank. He let out a fearful whine. He had to hurry. Almost there. Almost. Clank, clank, clank. The music sounded so much closer now. Clank. Ethan wheezes, hearing the horrible noises of metal hitting metal behind him. Every time it sounded closer and closer, hunting him down like he was simply prey. Clank. He let out a shout, the trap right behind him going off. With the light and music merely a few feet away, he throws caution to the side of the side and makes a break for it, praying his luck would turn around just this once. Clank. A bear trap grazes his ankle, making him stumble, but he continues to run, sweat beginning to mix with tears. Echoing laughter of something, or someone nearby. It laughed at his suffering as though it was merely a game. Then, silence. Ethan's foot catches an exposed root, catching into a small clearing. He gasps and looks up, face lit, only to finally be out. The light was not from the end of the forest. It was a screen. A DS screen. The music softly echoed from its speakers, looping endlessly. A small red light just below the red screen gently blinked on and off. Then, the stench hit his nose. And Ethan gags, covering his mouth and nose with his hand as he just pushed himself onto his knees, shining his flashlight into the dark at a mask holding the DS. The sight was horrific. Ooh, that is very horrific. A maggot and fly-infested corpse lay at the base of a tree, hands still clasped around the DS. It was a teenage boy with dark hair, pale skin, and a pine green hoodie, caked thoroughly with dirt and blood. Eyes bulged lifelessly in its skull, pupils dilated enough to barely show the white. It looked thin enough to have its muscles already gone from under its skin. A bear trap gripped its ankle like a vice, chaining it to the ground. Oh my goodness. Old, dried blood covered the floor. Ethan felt whatever he had in his stomach, and it threatened to come out with that very moment. He attempted to push it back down, struggled not to vomit, and failed. The bile strings his throat and nose as he spits it out in the ground, coughing and hacking. You wanted the truth, Max. Ethan looks back up, swaying as he does. The corpse was looking at him. It blinks between the horrid image of it in silver. You coward. You felt so bad for what you did to me. You came back to look for me, though I would just come back with you, like nothing happened. The corpse cracked. Blue lips curl up in a crooked smile as a worm squirms out of its hole in its jaw. It flickers back to silver. But what you did is why I'm here. You killed me, Maximus. You killed me. A figure with the same flashlight as Ethan was holding approaches the corpse, another young boy in a green flannel and a black shirt. He stands there staring in horror. He pulls out his phone, trying to call someone, but can't. The boy stares at the body for longer than he should have, thinking and began to approach it. He reaches for the DS, and for an instant the illusion is broken by a howling scream of agony. The redhead twitches and convulses on the ground, now a sleek black tile that stretched seemingly forever. A net made of electrified white cable binds him down as he wails in pain. Ethan scrambles backwards, confused and alarmed by the sudden change. Huh? You've done well, Ethan. The familiar voice of Oak chimes in, the footsteps approaching from behind and passing before. Oh my god, I need to drink water. I hope you have a moving day. Hi, John! Welcome in! I'm reading Pokemon creepypasta. I'm not doing too hot. Oh, jeez. But my day is going well. I hope you're having a good day too, John. Oh god, I don't like reading creepypastas, but I thought I would do it for something like this. Oh my god. Yeah, I need to get some more water. Also, like, the creepy Nintendo music is not helping the, the setting at all. It's going alright, week almost over. Let's go! My work schedule's been a little weird this week. So I work tomorrow, and then I'm off on Saturday. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that. I do like having weekends off. That's always awesome. Need Lavender Town music? Ooh, you so right. You were so right. Okay. Let's see here. Holy shit, the original Japanese version of Lavender Town has 21 million views. So, what was it? Now, my creepypasta knowledge is not the greatest. But wasn't it that like the Japanese music like made kids sick or something? I don't remember. Something happened. Something happened with the Lavender Town music. I just don't remember what it was. It made them want to commit no life. Oh. Well, shit. That's 21 million views. I'm kind of curious. This is the music that plays in Lavender Town from Pokemon Red and Blue. This is the original Japanese version of the piece that was edited upon worldwide release due to the high-pitched noises that strain the speakers and can induce adverse effects when undeveloped ears are exposed to them. Oh, okay. Bruh, fucking YouTube comments be fucking creepy. Hi, Isa, welcome in. When you realize the 2 red lights in the kitchen isn't the rice cooker. Okay, alright, let's finish this up. Okay, Ethan scrambles backwards, confused and alarmed by the sudden change. Huh? You've done well, Ethan. The familiar voice of Oak chimes in, footsteps approaching from behind and passing by before coming to a stop in front of the writhing, glitching figure as it snarls and thrashes. Elias stares directly at Ethan, letting out a cry of agonized rage as he tries to tear himself free. Maximus, you traitor! You thief! I hate you! I hate you! Ethan stares in horror as Oak merely watches Elias screech and struggle helplessly. Within another minute, Elias struggles and screams weakened. He hisses in pain, grasping at the cold floor through the netting towards Ethan in one last attempt to reach him. Max! Thief! Thief! You're a dirty thief! But it's okay, because now we'll be together for a very, very long time. Best friends. I'm your friend. Elias. The boy's eyes shrink to normal size and roll back into his skull. He falls limp as the wires finally disappear. Such a tedious process, resetting the things he breaks, Oak mutters. But it's better than letting him break it completely. Oak turns to Ethan and walks towards him. He looks between him and the now unconscious body of what used to be his rival and crawls backwards on his elbows. Nothing made sense. None of this could be true. Was it true that Elias wasn't the only one that had died in the forest? Who was he? Where was he? What was he? Oak presses the palm of his hands against Ethan's forehead. He feels his thoughts slip away. Back to fantasy, to how things were meant to be. The darkness gave way to his room, his bed. Yes, Ethan was home. He was going to start his journey as a Pokemon trainer today. What? What was I just... Ethan blinks, shaking his head. He looks up to the friendly face of the Pokemon professor, Professor Oak. Hello there, Ethan. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. Let the cycle begin again. I am not looking at the picture below that. I'm so bad with horror. I can't do it. It could be even like I can't do Smile Dog. I can't do Jeff the Killer. I can't do any of that stuff. Like, I just can't do it. Granted, the picture that they showed in the beginning, that was kind of creepy, but ooh, yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh gosh, This was supposed to be like scary stories in general, and all I've done was read nothing but Pokemon creepypastas. Thank you, Flash. I feel like I'm not a good reader, but I think I did pretty good. That was a really long creepypasta. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was really unsettling. Fucking Pokepasta Wiki. Okay. I'm gonna get a drink of water, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back, and let me see what else we can do. We can do something else. So give me just a second. I'm gonna go get some water. Okay, chat, I'm back. I guess I didn't hit the loop button. The YouTube comments for Lavender Town. This is so creepy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. How is everyone doing today? How is it going? I think I can do maybe one more story. I'm doing pretty good too. We just vibing. We just vibing. Okay. What's another interesting like series that could possibly have a creepypasta? I feel like Animal Crossing would freak me out too much. I got some ideas worked out for a possible novel I'm writing. That's exciting. Let's go. Let me see here. Hey Josh, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Sea of Stars. I hope you're having a great Halloween. Hope your day's treating you well. Hope you enjoy your follower emotes. Yes. Okay, this is Animal Crossing music, but I guess we'll roll with it for now. I have temporarily returned on break from scaring kids. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see here. I could probably do one more story. That last story was super long, and so I can like feel like the rumbly in my throat. I miss Animal Crossing creepypastas. I remember there was one that like I remember like refusing to read when I was younger. Okay, I guess we're going back to the creepypasta. Oh boy, this one, oh my gosh, this has almost 30k views. Holy shit. Okay. This is fitting, but also not fitting. So let me go back to the Halloween mix I was listening to. This will be the last story, and then I will call it. Yeah. Okay. The title is called Animal Crossing. You Did This. At least a year ago, I rented a game in my movie gallery called Animal Crossing City Folk for the Wii. I thought it was very fun. Sadly, months passed by and movie gallery had gone bankrupt. During this last Christmas, I told my older sister that I wanted to get her the game at Target because it was on sale for $19.99. I thought it was a great deal for such a game when there were games on the Wii for 50 bucks. I ended up getting the game in a shoebox. Did I read Ben Drowned? I have watched Ben Drowned. I didn't even know. I thought Ben Drowned was like originally a YouTube video, but I knew it was a creepypasta, but I didn't realize it was already like written and whatnot. But I remember watching it when I was younger. That shit freaked me out. The Zelda Ben Drowned. Okay. I ended up getting the game in a shoebox along with many other surprises on Christmas Eve because my other sister wasn't able to stay for Christmas the next day. I knew I was going to want to play this game next day. I wish I never did. I put the game in the Wii, excitedly. The first few times it wouldn't load it. I went to check the disc and saw that there were a few red spots on it. I didn't know what it was, so I just wiped it off and put it back. Now the CD loaded. The startup screen played, but something was wrong. The background was inverted with black and red, and randomly picked house with... Oh my goodness. Hold on. Okay, hopefully no more interruptions. Okay. Okay, let me see here. Let me start over. I knew I was going to want to play this game the next day. I wish I never did. I put the game in the Wii excitedly. The first few times it wouldn't load it. I went to check the disc and I saw that there were a few red spots on it. I didn't know what it was, so I just wiped it off and put it back. Now the CD loaded. The startup screen played, but something was wrong. The background was inverted black and red, and the randomly picked house with an animal outside it had no animal walking around. There was no music playing. I was frightened by this display, and curiously pressed A to see what could have been wrong in the rest of the game. The screen flashed to white, and went to wherever Rover should have been, but he wasn't there. The spotlight was still on for someone who was supposed to shine on him, but nothing was there. Somehow, something spoke. It had no name, not even a question mark. It was nothing. When it spoke, the text jumble was so jumbled up, I couldn't make a word of it. Somehow, okay, wait. Yeah, somehow it showed the selection of what I wanted to do, but instead of yeah, etc., it was run away now. I knew this was a new game, but I seriously was beginning to believe that this was all hacked. This was not in any way possible. Not knowing what to do, I simply picked run. I saw my character looking rather melancholy as she came out to the door to their house. She made a sad pose without me pressing anything. I walked out to find out if anything else was changed. When I walked, something appeared out of the ground. Apparently, it was Rossetti, only he had the same problem Rover did. Absolutely nothing there, but it appeared to be something that existed. The messed up text happened all again, but I saw something that said they are all gone. But the text was still messed up, so I couldn't see if that was all it really said. The screen flashed black, and I was next to Tom Nook's shop. Curious, I went inside. I saw nothing in the shop. There was only a table in the middle of the room. Laying on the table was Tom Nook, dead with a huge knife poking from his fluffy stomach. I screeched at this, and my character did a shocked emotion herself. The nothingness spoke again, jumbled up text that read, "Why are you frightened? You did this." The pop-up went away, and my character shook her head. An emotion I never thought was in the game, and then she made a nervous emotion. The screen flashed black, dark, and red. I had no idea where I was, so I tried to click the map, but it wasn't there. I figured out that I was in the middle of my town. I looked to see if there was any houses. There were none. I noticed I had some mail from the nothing, and I read it, and it said, "You did this," and that was it. I was running now, and I stopped at a bridge to see a horrific sight of blood in the water. Fish were floated on their sides at the surface of the water, dead. And I knew that there was something in the water, and I felt that the bodies of the characters were floating inside of it. I ran all the way to the bus stop to see if going to the city was possible. Thank you for the head pat, Umbra. I appreciate it. Welcome in. I hope you're having a great Halloween. Looks like the bus won't be here for a while, it said. So, not knowing what to do, I ran into my house and opened the door. I saw Rover, suffering from the same fate that Tom Nook did, though he had a frozen expression on him. Sitting next to him was Rossetti, dead the same way, only his eyes were closed as if he were sleeping. Hey, Angel, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Sea of Stars. Give kiddos candy. Oh, did you give the kitties did you give them the big chocolate bars? But welcome to the Sea of Stars, Angel Bird. I hope you have a great Halloween, and I hope you enjoy your follower emotes. Let's go. The way Rover in particular looked was absolutely creepy. It was as if he was scared because of me. His eyes never left me. I walked around and I saw he was actually moving his head to look at me. I closer saw a look and I saw he was breathing hard. His expression went to a more nervous expression as he closed his mouth and clenched his teeth. He tried to get up slowly, but he closed his eyes tightly in pain, slid his paw back down and clenched his teeth even harder. I went up to him and the camera moved as we spoke. Why? Why did you do this? What made you do this? Kit Kats and some gummies? Oh, hell yeah. We love the Kit Kats. I was devastated. I muttered under my breath, I never did any of this. I haven't played this game in at least a year. Rover heard this because he said in response, you may think you didn't do this, but your character did. She killed us. She killed every one of us. She tore people to pieces with her own hands. She cooked and ate a cow. He had his head turned to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You should have never seen this. You're so young. I never wanted you to see what she did to us. I want you to throw away the memory and burn the CD for us. Please, get us out of here. I was astonished. I couldn't believe it. I turned off the game, deleted the memory, and burned the CD. I'm actually happy I did. When I did it, the CD hissed and smoke came out. When the smoke came out, the cartoon characters figure disappeared. I was frightened by this, but then I saw the characters I saw dead in the game. Rover clapped his paws and gave me a hug that felt more than a real cat than a blocky 3D figure. I knew now that these were the spirits trapped and tortured to death inside the game. While Rover was allowed to stay as a house cat inside, all the characters found them in a home in the real world, away from the CD that the character's deadly spirit inside it. She was locked forever, away from the real world, never to return. She was to never hurt a creature again. Gone. She may be gone, but I still don't know what those red spots I wiped off could have been on the CD. Could they have been blood on her now revived victims? Could she have hurt somebody in reality? That is creepy. That is like extra creepy. That creepypasta was made 7 years ago. But I think about 2.5 hours. I think this is good. Sorry, there was no SCP readings, so I do apologize for that. I didn't think I would just get into just Nintendo creepypastas. Those Pokemon ones was a humongous rabbit hole for sure. Yeah, thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate it. I owe you guys Resident Evil 4. So what I may end up doing is, I may end up just, no, it's okay, Umbra. It's okay. It's okay. This was supposed to be ASMR, and I'm just using my, I'm using my vocal voice. But, yeah, I owe you guys Resident Evil 4. If I don't feel like doing Resident Evil 4, I might just play Final Fantasy 14. Maybe. Because I need to get more practice in. So, yeah. Just remember, if y'all aren't here in my Discord yet, make sure you join my Discord. I need to do it. I'm gonna try and plan another community day. I never get Sundays off anymore. Like, and here are my socials. I need to update the socials tab too. I will make sure to do that. All right, Sky, I'm putting the Discord in the YouTube chat, okay? Hopefully Sky heard me. And now we are going to go find somebody to raid. I what? What do you mean I what? Okay, let's see. You've got options. Oh, hopefully. Oh, wait, what did I say? I don't remember. Oh, I said I may get a Sunday or Saturday stream in because I don't work that day, and I owe chat Resident Evil 4. But if I don't feel like playing Resident Evil 4, I'm still gonna finish it even if it's after Halloween. But I might also stream Final Fantasy 14. So it also depends. So. Hey, let's go, boredom, let's go! That's exciting. Ain't no way, there's the same VTuber is recommended twice to me. There's so many options. Wait, chat. Pokemon is doing it's a live look from Lavender Town. They're doing their own creepypasta stream. That's so cool. Oh man. That's insane. They really want you to look them out? Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna. Okay. Allison is playing Phasma if you don't know where to go. I don't think I've ever met Allison before, but yeah, I could raid her if you could give me the link. Oh, yes, a fellow VTuber that is also reading creepypastas. Let's go! Okay. Butch will bonk the link. Ah, shit, you right. Damn it! Damn it, Sky! It's okay, I got it. I got it. Nightbot can go heck off. I am suffering. Wait! Allison knows Rennie too? That's insane! That's insane! Oh my god! Oh, I love Rennie! Rennie's awesome! Oh, that's awesome! Okay, hold on. And before there's Testio's blocked? No. One of my friends know you're friends. I don't think we're friends. I think we're just mutuals. I could tell you the story about it in DMs, Umbra. But yeah, so we're gonna do the raid message will be okay. So that will be for the subscribers. That will be for your followers. All right, chat. I'm gonna get the hickety heck out of here. I am hungry and I'm gonna vibe for the rest of the day. I also need to study. I gotta study mechanics. So yeah, there might be a stream, or tomorrow stream will be Honkai Star Rail, and then Saturday stream may or may not be Final Fantasy 14 or Resident Evil 4. So yeah, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you're following me on YouTube as well, if you're on the Twitch side, if you haven't done so yet. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. On the road to becoming YouTube partner. So yeah, make sure you guys do that. Stay shining, stay hydrated, and have a happy Halloween and a great rest of your guys' night. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye!